let's do it.
Welcome to Living, Breathing, Having a Good Time, Life Unleashed at Love. I'm your host, Sierra Cooper, and today we have Cliff Sinclair with us. Nice to see you. How are you?
Oh, never been better in my entire life. How you doing, Sierra?
And so we have a lot to talk about today. So abuse doesn't define you is one thing. TBI isn't yet curable. That's interesting. And hurt people can help people. And I'm in the field of helping people. So that's very interesting to me. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, your background.
So I grew up in the DC area, and when growing up, I was beat constantly, and it led to a lot of concussions and a lot of trauma that I still have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I've recently been part of a book, and I'm working on a full-length book, but um, I'm part of a book.
What kind of therapies have helped you deal with your childhood trauma?
So I was a drug addict for a while, and well, they say when you're an addict, you're always an addict, but I haven't used it in a long time. But
Right.
going through recovery programs, I stopped using wet, and it helped me understand the reason why I started using wet was,
So let me ask you, so back up here. So as a man, right? So you were raised in a generation that generally never talked about the feelings. You
of course not.
you just said,
Yeah.
oh, okay, to hell with this, I get in fights and whatever. But you push all that down and until it erupts. So you weren't even aware of this, correct?
No, I thought it was normal.
And so what would you say to younger individuals dealing with this, especially in today's society?
You're important. You matter. Talk to somebody. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a therapist at first. Just talk to somebody. Don't isolate yourself, because a lot of times when your father knocks you unconscious and you wake up, you don't tell people.
Right.
It's im-
Alcoholic, I take it?
no, not at all. Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. Just an asshole.
Just mean. Okay.
Yeah.
So you literally, it wasn't just people from the outside. You're also talking about trauma that happened inside your house.
Yeah. My father used to, so the first time he ever knocked me unconscious, I was 6. And it was because I told him that I was abused by one of the neighbors, sexually abused by one of the neighbors. And he said I must have wanted it and punched me.
Wow.
And the
That's huge.
beatings didn't stop for the next 12 years after that or so until I moved out.
So let me ask you a question because this is really deep stuff we're getting into. Okay. Um, and it's a lot. So tell me if it's too much because I
That's
know
fine.
you've done a lot of work on yourself, but I'm also a therapist. So I do know how to engage and I've had my own trauma, so I get it. Um, what did that do at 6 years old to your self-esteem and your psyche?
Oh, I thought I was completely worthless. I stopped playing sports. I stopped caring about anybody. And it made me mean. I got pleasure out of hurting other people. That was the only pleasure I got at all.
So it was a learned behavior.
Yeah.
So behavioral pattern exuded itself in school, obviously probably reflected in your grades, how you communicated.
Well, no, actually, no. I was still, if I remembered to actually do the assignments, I was still an A student. My
So,
biggest problem was I would forget to actually do stuff.
so do you
So,
actually like
actually,
that
a perfect example.
having
So,
TBIs? I mean,
I'm sorry, what now? I was talking over you.
if your father is knocking you unconscious, right? So do you relate that back to having multiple TBIs, or is that just
Yeah, no. So TBI is traumatic brain injuries, and it's not one time thing. It's just over time. And it's not something that is curable. It's not something that you can fix. You
right?
just have to live with it and deal with it. So to this day, I there are some mornings that I just feel sick to my stomach and I'm dizzy and I can't walk because my brain doesn't function correctly.
Let me ask you a question. When you were six, right, and you had all this going on, did you like pretend to escape yourself? Because that would definitely be a really good question.
No, I felt I deserved it.
Okay. Well, and the reason I'm asking you this is because there's in general a lot of people in society are experiencing this or going through this personally, and they can relate to this. So you growing up, and so you're being beat up by your father, you live in a city, you're obviously being bullied, correct, by other peers around you.
Yeah, most of that was because we were poor, and I felt more comfortable with the school district like 20 feet away from me than the school district we were in. So I was the poorest kid in my elementary school, but 20 feet away from our house because it was right on the line, I would have been just average.
So you had a father that made you feel worthless. You felt just average because now you're living in poverty in DC, that considered poverty. So all of this occurred within a 12-year period. So what was the wake up call for you to change your life?
You want the short story or the long story?
Oh, I want it all. I want to know.
So, my father moved us out of the city right before ninth grade. So, ninth grade, of course, is difficult for everybody. You're going into high school, you're going into whatever, but we moved from the city to a more rural area in Northern Virginia, but still outside of the city. And instead of being able to get around wherever I wanted to, I was stuck because I wasn't old enough for a vehicle. And, obviously I couldn't walk somewhere because it was like 10 miles to, it was a mile to the the nearest convenience store. And this was before Uber, and of course, so.
So explain to me, was your dad divorced or was
All right, no, so we never use that word.
okay?
I think to be a dad requires effort and requires you actually caring about the person.
Right.
I just call him asshole. You can say father if you prefer, but he's not a dad.
Your mother was involved though.
She still, yeah, 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 but she was mostly clueless as to what was going on,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
sure a lot of stuff he took out on her too. But
Well, and I have to ask these questions because there's
yeah,
so much confusion when it comes to men your age. I see it all the time. Besides being a body worker and sports medicine, I took a little bit of psychology and I see a lot of this. And generationally, things have changed over
oh
time.
yeah, oh yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yes, definitely.
So there's men that are your age, 29, and they
I'm pretty sure they could see my face and realize I'm not.
and they, I'm sure they're stuck in these hamster wheels and these patterns.
Yeah. Well, and that's, so the chapter in the book that I wrote, is called Uncreating a Monster because, yeah, the hamster wheel it's cyclical and hurt people. And I'm sure that he faced some of the same things and he took it out on me. And I'm not going to forgive him, but I get it.
So you've grown to understand it, but and you said you used drugs too for a short period of time in your life. So what was the epic thing though that made you
So
realize after the move?
so there was two things. So, when I was 12, just before I turned 13, um, I got arrested.
Okay.
I was living in Northern Virginia and doing stuff and yada yada yada, and we stole a car and wound up in Jacksonville, Florida, and realized we
Wow.
didn't have a plan. So we
Oh,
started driving back, and in Waycross, Georgia, we were arrested.
bad place to get arrested.
You ain't wrong. I did more time in Waycross, Georgia for bringing stolen goods into the state
Hmm.
than anything I served in Virginia for actually stealing the car
Exactly. Yes.
or the money that was in the car.
So what happened? I mean, that's really young
Oh
to.
yeah, no, I was sent to a home, and I served almost 6 months. And you're in there with like murderers and drug dealers, and I'm like, okay, let's go, guys.
You've been.
And some of those people in there were just as lost as me. And like I said earlier, like school always came easy to me. So I volunteered to be a teacher assistant. Not really because I cared, but because it got me out of the cell for a few extra hours.
Sure. Sure.
So I was teaching kids algebra. Even though I had never learned algebra, I just looked at the book and could figure it out.
Yeah. And so, well, and that's very interesting to me.
So I helped a kid with his, because he wanted to go to college, and so I helped him with his SATs. And
Well, and it's very interesting to me because people with a higher IQ are very misunderstood a lot. They're very misunderstood for a lot of reasons, not just due to trauma, but then you add trauma on top of that, and people look at you kind of sideways, like, "Wow, like what's so good about that?" So that's another thing too. They look at you. So here you are using your educational purposes to get out of your head and to move yourself into a totally different realm to escape. But then what did you figure out as your adulthood went along?
well, no. So actually, once I got out of jail, um, there was a woman that saw something in me that I don't know what she saw. I still to this day don't know what she saw, but she made her son hang out with me, and we started just doing normal kid stuff. We played basketball, we played football, we hung out together nonstop. He would always beat me at Nintendo, which I hated, but you know, he got to play all day long. I didn't have a Nintendo in my house, so when I would go over, he would always beat me. Um, but yeah, so that was the my wake up to want to be a better person and to realize it was just her showing me caring and having that friend that actually cared about me, as opposed to people I was running with. They cared about what I could do for them, what I could get them. They cared about themselves, and yeah, if I happened to be the one that could help them at the moment, cool.
Okay, so you actually did drugs at a very young age then. That
Oh
was
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So drugs was a young age, you had your epiphany. And so what were the steps? And so a lot of people that are going to be watching this, so a lot of people like to have advice on what do I do? Where do I start?
So there are a couple things as an adult you can do to help kids, and that's where I'll start with, because a lot of times as a kid you don't realize I'm different. I need something different. If you do realize that, great, but most people don't. Most people going through the systematic cycle of things just assume it's normal. But if you're an adult and you see somebody that's 9 and you ask them a question and they look to somebody else before they answer you to make sure that it's okay to answer, that's a clue that there's trouble going on there. If they have a sudden weight change, whether it's up or down, there's something going on. If,
Psychologically, emotionally, all of the above.
yeah, if they, on, say for example, that they love playing hockey and they're there every game. They play it every week. And then all of a sudden they don't care about hockey anymore, and they don't want to show up, and they don't want to play, and they don't want nothing to do with it anymore. There's a reason. People don't instantly lose satisfaction in something.
Right.
So when you're at that age, if you do, there's a reason why. So it's important for adults, if you see that happening, pay more attention to that kid. Unfortunately, the way the judicial system is set up currently, they want to punish the offender, but they don't want to help the victim.
Right.
So the kid still needs somebody to talk to. He needs somebody around, somebody just to show him you care.
Well, and I was going to say, when you pointed out the sexual abuse that happened to you at such a young age, and especially for a boy, right? Everybody always talks about girls, women, all of us, young ladies, but they don't talk a whole lot about
Because men don't talk about it either. There's it's like one of the few taboos that's still left. You don't talk about.
how you feel.
Well, and it's amazing. Like since I've started doing public speaking and talking to other people, how many people have come up to me and said, "Yeah, that happened to me when I was a kid, but I never felt I felt embarrassed. I felt like it was my fault. I couldn't tell anybody." People that they have lives, they have wives, they have friends, they never disclose it to because it's
You're ashamed. You're ashamed.
yeah, it's an embarrassment, and it's not something you chose to do. It's not. It's something that happened to you.
Absolutely.
But
I get that. I understand that. So, and that's why a lot of people ultimately, besides drug abuse, alcohol abuse, all the other mental health issues, they, repetitively go through relationships. They have communication issues. They can't sustain a foundational life or stability. And so, I met you and your son, and your son's fantastic. I mean, obviously,
well, thank you.
very good father. And so, would you say because of all the trauma that has happened to you, before we get into your book, um, it really allowed you to become the person that your dad wasn't?
Again, don't use that word. That word really pisses me off. I'm a dad. He was a sperm donor.
Throw down there. Yes. Correct.
He was present at my conceivement. That was about it. He was present through my life. He was not a dad. I like to think of myself as a dad. I'm there for my kids. I do my best to try to help my kids. Yeah, and when I was in recovery, getting over my drug addiction, I I met somebody that had gone through a similar problem, and he was an addict, and we talked a lot, and that's what made me start wanting to fix my life again. Because after time, like things started creeping back into my head, and I just felt worthless and useless, and it's one of those things that never really goes away.
Right.
It's
It's a loop. It's a
yeah,
cycle. And a lot of people struggle with anxiety, depression over that, or manic depression, or even trauma-induced bipolar. And so you had mentioned tips for parents to watch out for, but what about for, quote unquote, the victim, the person that survives an experience?
talk. Don't feel ashamed for something you didn't do. You didn't choose to have it happen to you. You didn't put yourself in that position. It happened. A friend of mine actually told me like a couple years ago, and I never really took it to heart until recently. Um, Even when I thought I was doing okay as an adult, I still would put myself in bad situations. I would put myself into a situation that wasn't healthy. And like So that's not the best way to handle things either. Don't put yourself into bad situations, but help somebody else out.
Right. Because giving and caring and loving on other people, helping them helps heal you. And you're talking about, someone with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Hmm.
I mean, because something like that is post-trauma. And I see a lot of that even within my practice. And so let's get into your book for a minute. So when you wrote this book, was it really hard for you at some points?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, Especially because people that thought they knew me didn't want to hear about stuff I'd gone through, but I felt it was important to tell other people. And I don't want people that I'm close to feel sorry for me because we're already close. I don't
Right.
want your pity. Just be there, be my friend, and just hang out.
You want people to understand that they're not alone. And
Right.
so on
And
what
there's a difference. So being alone, a lot of times when people that haven't gone through things, they're, oh, I'm so sorry for. That actually makes it 10 times worse.
I
They
agree.
don't mean to do that. They're meaning to help you. They're meaning to be there for you. But when somebody says, I'm sorry it happened to you, I'm like, well, don't be sorry. I don't want your pity.
Well, did you like I gotta ask, did you ever go to therapy? Did you
Yeah.
ever see
Yeah.
CPR?
Yeah. No, I'm in therapy now.
Okay. And so because a lot of people, they seem to have a misconception, right? They
Yeah.
think that going to therapy is labeling themselves in some way. And so at this point in your life,
Well, again, like therapy was something that was required going through the recovery program,
right,
addiction, and I I saw the value, and so then when I left the home and all, I was able to say, yeah, I need to keep doing this. Now, I will also say you need to find the right therapist for you,
right.
and whatever is the right therapist for you is different. Like when I first started, I was not going to tell a woman some of the stuff that happened to me,
Absolutely.
and it's not that I'm against women or something. It's just
Absolutely.
I'm not going to share that with a woman. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and see, I mean, because I've met, besides women, men, that prefer to go to a woman because they feel judged by a man. So it can be the opposite. But
uh
like I said, it's who you connect with foundationally and spiritually. And so let me ask you, what actually brought about the book? What actually made you say, hey, I want to write. This is therapeutic for me. I'm ready to tell my story. What exactly made that spark in you?
um, a an addict friend of mine told me I should, so I started looking into it. It
And what's the book called?
Breaking the Silence, Volume 4. So this is part of an anthology, and then um, my standalone book won't come out until July.
Okay. Okay. And so you're
But you can read like a chapter out of it in Breaking the Silence, Volume 4.
and you're self-published. And so when you started working on this project, on this endeavor, and you said it was difficult, but it needed to come out, and your friend obviously encouraged you to because they also needed support, I'm assuming, as well. At what point did you ever?
No, they just thought my story was interesting and that I should share with others.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, his story is not included. I mean, his story was his parents were killed in a car accident when he was 9, and they left him a ton of money, and he was bored and had a bunch of money and was raised by relatives and just started using
Yeah, absolutely. I know
because
people like that.
he had no structure and no desire to do anything because he had everything. He didn't need it.
Right. Exactly.
I
He
mean,
didn't.
they didn't have money. His parents didn't have money, but because of their death, he got a bunch of money because it was a car accident involving a commercial driver. So
Have structure. He didn't have guidance. He didn't have his parents.
very, very little. I mean, most of the family members that took him in were mostly just wanting some of that trust money that he had.
Oh, guaranteed.
So he was, yeah. But
So,
no, he's the one that encouraged me. And then I met Michelle Jewsbury, who she's a survivor as well, and she has a organization that helps people to overcome trauma.
so let me ask you, was there a point in writing Breaking the Silence that almost, like, did you almost stop at one point and
Oh yeah.
say, I don't think I can go further?
Well, I was okay talking with the sexual abuse. I mean, I was okay talking with the physical abuse, but the sexual abuse, it was. I
Really
kept saying, "Do I really need to talk about this part? Can I just, you know,
skip over it.
yeah." And Michelle's the one that actually encouraged me to include that because a lot of people that, like you were saying before, men don't talk about that.
No, it's not.
And she encouraged me a lot to discuss it and to talk about it and to not be the victim, be the survivor.
You survivor. Well, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage and bravery to come out publicly and say, look, this is what occurred in my past, and I'm a survivor of this. So, in your book,
And honestly, right now, so as I do readings in front of large crowds, I'm fine with talking to strangers about it. But friends and family, no, that's still hard.
so a sensitive thought, yeah. And so for you, moving forward with everything that you're endeavoring on, what would you also include to women and men both? Um, that okay, so they're surviving it, they're going day by day, they're working, they have a family, they have a spouse. Um, how do you prevent yourself from going into that negative work cycle all over again? Because I know, right, people look for outlets. So what are some healthy outlets?
So I'll tell you the one that I hate the most, exercise. I hate working out. I, but that's one thing that I'm told often, but I hate it so much.
Right.
Um, Honestly, the best outlet for me personally is to surround myself by people that I know care about me and just normalize people being around you without judging you. And there are a lot of people that are that way that don't judge you, and it's just um, most of them have also gone through stuff,
Mhm.
and it's usually the people that haven't gone through stuff that will judge you.
Right.
But you know, most of my closest friends are former addicts or like been trafficked, been like the most
Yeah.
unspeakable things in the world because they get where I'm coming from and I get where they're coming from and we can just sit around and be friends
Yeah.
and watch the campfire together.
Exactly. They're living in reality of you know, the world not always a safe place.
Yeah, somebody that's complaining that they didn't get a pony for their birthday really can't identify with. Sorry.
Well, and a safe place is something that people normally talk about, right? But what if you normalize your safe place as for you?
I don't understand the question.
A safe place. Like some people, they say, well, I can get out there on stage, I can talk about this, I can talk about that, and at the end of the day, when I'm still dealing with people, I still either need that one person to talk to, I need to listen to music, I need to calm down, I need to be with my thoughts in private. Um, how do you convey that to somebody that is numb to how they can actually feel?
I get where you're coming from now. I have multiple things. Honestly, I did not think that that was going to be such a personal question, but it really kind of is. Um, Comedy. It Laughing at things that are deemed inappropriate.
I agree.
I've always just um, and honestly, through most of my 20s and 30s, that's how I dealt with my own pain. Is I would make jokes about it, and it's to hear somebody else laugh at something you say, or just to laugh with somebody else while somebody else is saying something. Right. That's where I feel the most secure, most safe.
Interesting.
Because if everybody's laughing, nobody's throwing a fist.
This is true. This is true. Unless there's a fist pump. Right.
Right? Yeah.
So I gotta ask, did you have a favorite comedian growing up? Was there somebody
Sam Kinison.
who?
Sam Kinison.
So who I've never heard of who that is.
Oh, you got to check him out. He's phenomenal. He was very very raunchy, told very inappropriate jokes, and like a couple months after he got completely clean and sober, he was killed by a drunk driver.
Wow. Oh, I
And
remember.
his last words, as he was on the desert highway between L.A. and Vegas, um, he looked up and he said, "Really, God, now? Why now?" But hilarious. He has a joke about. Um, I don't think there's a single joke of his that I can say without it being bleep. So we'll just
Sure.
check him out.
Sure. Well, and so just kind of hopping and skipping, but we've got to go backwards for a moment. So you said, and this is a really good question for you, and this is kind of like really kind of getting a little personal, but a lot of people that had trauma in their life, they'll have two people that are supposed to be the adults involved that are supposed to protect them. And one, obviously, as we've described, did not do that whatsoever. And then you had your mother. So is there a guilt on her part? Have you guys,
No, I always protected her from everything.
so you never went to your mother? You never, okay.
No.
Were you left out of the loop?
Yeah.
Okay. So she didn't even know about your
Yep.
dad? Okay. Oh, because I know there's a lot of people that are going to be watching that are going to ask questions about that because
Well, no, and and honestly, one of the things that I loved about Diane was that she never asked me either. She just cared and was just there. So I never had to respond. I never had to tell her. She just cared. And her husband loved me to death and were just perfectly happy to just let me exist. And I never told them any of what was going on.
Yeah, and
She never even asked me why I went to jail. She just knew I did.
oh, um, well, and like you said, parents look out for certain things that are, that are happening, especially behaviorally, because I know there are a lot of parents that get caught up with their own issues and time and marriage and all these things, and they glaze over something, especially with the child, and they just say, well, they're struggling with school, they're struggling with this, and they just kind of put it to the wayside. And so, like you said, don't do that. Now, would you?
Also, don't over control your kid's life either,
Yes.
because that can be almost as harmful. I won't say as harmful, but I mean
Yeah,
it.
like helicopter mom,
Yeah,
helicopter. Yeah.
yeah, because then your kid's grown up and he's never been abused, but he also has no idea how to be a 20-year-old.
So, how did you? I just gotta ask this, right? When you became a parent, I mean, how were you not hyper vigilant? I mean, how did you not go like way overboard to one side? Because I know a lot of people have done that.
Gosh. Like my my oldest is a daughter. When she was first born, I mean, I probably was hyper vigilant, but like I would check on her 4 or 5 times in her sleep to make sure she was alive. But like,
As she got older, like teenagers, 16, 17, 18.
yeah, well, because I gave her a foundation, and I felt if I did my job giving her a foundation and I would always be there for her, then I trust her to make her own decisions. You know, I mean, she's grown up now. She's off on her own. But um, when uh, she got in a car accident when she was 16 and totaled the car,
Oh, geez.
and unfortunately, she apologized to the person that hit her, which in most states is an assumption of guilt if you apologize.
Absolutely.
And so I had a conversation with her. Don't apologize. She's like, all right, Dad, never again. So the second accident she got in, she didn't say a word. She got out of her car, called me, and I was there. But, you know,
Yeah, and did you feel at any point in time being a dad, that it was easier to raise a girl than it was a boy? Because I know some people would.
boys are 100 times easier.
I agree.
100 times easier.
And so just
Although, I mean, now she's like a really good friend of mine. She's awesome. I mean,
oh, they do. They become your best friend.
yeah. When she turned 17 and realized I wasn't a complete moron and actually knew something,
She got it. Then
yeah.
she started paying attention.
Yeah, but any girl between the age of like 13 and 17, their parents know nothing.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
amazingly, when they're like 17, 18, somewhere around there, oh, wait, my parents actually do have intelligence.
Yes, well, mine will be 18. So
Yeah, you're almost about to get smart.
I just gotta recap here. What do you want the viewers to know from our interview, particularly about the book, about your upcoming speaking events?
Don't be ashamed of things that have happened to you. And whatever makes you happy, be happy with it.
Isn't that great advice? It's so simple and so easy, yet people still can't find that. They just
So we have a saying in our house, don't yuck my yum.
don't yuck my yum. I like that.
So, for example, um, I love corned beef and cabbage.
Oh,
It's
I
one of my favorite meals.
do. Absolutely.
Yeah, my youngest thinks it's disgusting, but he cannot tell me while I'm eating it that it's disgusting. That's yucking my yum.
Yes, don't yuck my yum. We just had St. Patty's Day. I love corned beef.
If my wife wants to work out 3 hours a day, and I feel like I'd rather sit in bed. You go work out. I'll sit in bed. I'm not going to yuck your yum. Don't knock mine.
Go for it. And so if people want to actually reach out to you, if they want to find you,
Cliff Sinclair 77 at gmail.com. If you send me an email, I'll send you the book. And
can they find that on Amazon, obviously?
yeah, I'd prefer it if I sent it to them because um, then I can follow up with them and get their responses.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
And are you doing anything with your upcoming events? Do you have anything?
all right. So the 29th in Tampa, I'll be at the Oxford Hotel, and Bloom TV and Fox News will be there interviewing us for the book. So if you want to go to the Oxford Hotel, you can go to Eventbrite and get tickets for it.
Okay. And so why, just out of curiosity, why Tampa? Are you from the Tampa Bay area?
No, no, I'm in the South, but no, I'm not from Tampa. That was just the place that was chosen.
Okay.
It's like when you're doing a group thing and people all over the country are in this book, you got to pick somewhere.
So are you gonna take like a tour, a book tour?
I'm in the process of booking that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I'll have a website up soon to highlight where the tour's going and stuff like that. But until I've actually booked more than the couple that we have, it's too early to.
So, just out of curiosity, and because, when you say book tour, just to kind of end things, and you say website, so people, are they going to be able to access some of your conference events via your website?
Yeah,
Okay. And an audiobook as
yeah.
well?
The audiobook comes out April 20th.
Perfect. 2 days before my dad's birthday.
Oh. Yeah, it's they have very specific rules when it comes to Audible.
Okay.
Um, so it's
Yeah.
it has
So
to be reviewed several times and stuff. Like,
I kind of added it. Well, I just finished my 23 chapter book, so I
yeah, and if you miss a word or something when you're reading it, it's nixed and you have to redo it because it has to be word for word exactly.
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I had so much fun having you on the show. I'm so happy that you came on. I can't wait to interview you again and talk more about what happens with you over the next 6 months and how many
Sounds
lives.
great.
Okay.
Sounds great.